Sorry it took so long. Dave had me back there with last night's cake.
So how the hell are you? It's great to see you, man.
I'm good. I'm gonna pimp myself here, and I don't usually do this, but I'm getting old, and I have to tell everybody, I've had 2013 was a phenomenal year for me. It was my 40th year in Hollywood show business.
Wow.
I starred in my first movie in 1973, and last year I was asked to star with Finn Jones from Game of Thrones and Emily Barrington from The White Queen in a great little thriller in England, directed by Phil Hawkins, who was Spielberg's protege on the reality show The Lot. And it's going to be terrific. And I'm the old Richard Attenborough projectionist who gets, what do they call it? Well, laid off here, or fired, or made redundant, as they say in the UK. And I have to work in the concession stand shoveling popcorn until my retirement. And so I get, what do you call it, the camera? The GoPro camera. And I use the hidden cameras in the movie theater in the Octoplex. And I go to Radio Shack and get my own camera, and I make my own midnight movie for revenge. And it's really terrific, you guys. The point of views are beyond paranormal, beyond Blair Witch. The cast is exciting, really good. You're going to recognize lots of people. And then I came back to the States, and because of fans like you, my friends, the great Robert Hall, who's now house director for Teen Wolf, who did Laid to Rest 1 and 2, who's been working in makeup effects since Buffy the goddamn Vampire Killer, Rob and his team were able to Indiegogo the rest of the movie to make Fear Clinic. Now, I wish I could say that I'm the best thing in the movie because I worked my ass off until Christmas Eve, but Thomas Dekker from Terminator, Sarah Connor Chronicles, shreds it in this movie, right up to his lobotomy scar and his wheelchair, and it is nasty. And the guest makeup effects people were Robert Oscar-winning Kurtzman, the K in KNB, Wishmaster director, you guys, 100 movies, that everything by Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino and Wes Craven. He came on to help us at the last minute, and so did, out of retirement, out of Costa Rica, Steven Johnson, as in Hellboy. Okay, 1, 2. Okay, Steve Johnson came in, and it's terrific. So, at the age of 67 years, I was able to star in 2 movies, 2 vehicles, and they're coming out, and they're both fan-generated for you guys, and they should be out this year. So that's my pimporama. That's my answer to Dave's question. And now we should probably just go Q&A.
Okay, we'll do as we always do. If you have a question, raise your hand. Right here.
Well, no, here's the thing you have to understand. I would love to do the prequel script, which is similar to the Tobe Hooper episode of the television series. And it's been floating around for, you know, a dozen years now. John McNaughton was attached at one point. I heard this script is incredible. Actors do sequels. We don't do remakes. Actors don't do remakes. We do sequels. We do cameos, but we don't do remakes. Danny Glover and Mel Gibson are never going to do Lethal Weapon 1 again. They might do Lethal Weapon 14, but they're never going to do Lethal Weapon 1 again. I could do a prequel to Nightmare on Elm Street. I could do Freddy versus goddamn Chucky. But I can't do Nightmare 1 or Nightmare 2 again. They want to reboot the franchise. Time Warner, Platinum Dunes. Here's the thing, you guys. It's not a horrible thing. All the movies that our grandparents saw had all been silent films. They were all remade. This is something that Hollywood does. Why? Because there's only so many stories we can tell around the campfire. We're storytellers. I think what's happened in Hollywood is they prematurely ejaculated here on remakes. The same people that are remaking things too fast are the people that spent money for Blu-ray, DVD, cable, Netflix. This is the same paradigm. And what they need to know is, for the first time in history, good movies that don't do well on release, or don't do well on their first DVD release or cable showing, they have an opportunity to be discovered and have legs on Blu-ray, on DVD, on Netflix, on cable reruns. And sooner or later, if they are good, they will be discovered. Whether it's Boondock Saints, whether it's Suicide Kings, whether it's The Rise of Leslie Vernon, Behind the Mask. These films will be discovered. And we have to give them time now. So the industry needs to know that they've made movies have legs and shelf life longer than any time in the history of films. Movies, there's great movies that were made in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and 60s that are missing in action, MIA, and you have to seek them out, hopefully, on Turner or on your own research. There's some terrific stuff out there that gets discovered, or movies that I vaguely remember seeing, you know, when I was 11 or 12. And we hope that somebody like me will fall in love with them and bring them out on DVD and put them on Cinemax every Saturday night for a year on cable, like they did for my business manager's movie, Suicide Kings, which is now a certifiable hit, and Quentin Tarantino saw it and put it in a box set, along with Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction. But this is why they have to just back off a little bit on the remakes. Let the more recent films generate and discover the audience, or let the audience discover them. Okay, another question.
In the early 80s, I'm going to tell you I'm a really...
In the early 80s, I had hair on all parts of my body. Not just my ears. I'm sorry, what?
And you were blonde and you looked great. How much fun did you have with the franchise V? Because I loved doing that.
Yes! Well, you guys have to understand something about V. I did V, and I turned down a great offer to go to Italy. And then I did Nightmare on Elm Street in my hiatus, in that period of time between the mini-series and the series. And then I started reacting to my fan mail from V. I think I did a convention in Atlanta, the big sci-fi convention. Dragon Con?
Dragon Con, yeah.
Yeah, an early Dragon Con. But then I was so busy, I didn't realize this, and I turned down this trip to Italy. I went back, and I won Best Supporting Actor over Richard Chamberlain for The Thornbirds, something your moms all like. Anyway, it's so cute. Rachel Ward, Brian Brown's wife. Okay. Oh, it was such a soapy goddamn thing. Anyway, let's shear the sheep and talk in an Australian accent. Hey. So anyway, I'm over there, and I turned this down, right? And I go to the after party. Catherine Deneuve, Robert Englund, Fernando Rey, the French goddamn connection. And Dustin Hoffman.
Yes.
That's my table. Woo! And I went, why? What am I thinking? You know, why didn't, and that was my first click onto the power of fans. I hadn't done Comic-Con yet. And what I realized was the Europeans, they were beyond that snob shit. They just embraced it. They loved science fiction. They loved horror. And they gave it an equal respect. as westerns or film noir or other sort of subgenres of films. And it was this enlightening moment of time to me. You know what it's like to be with Catherine Deneuve in 1985, and I've got the award she didn't win at a table in Milan, Italy, across the street from La Scala Opera House in a rented tuxedo. Oh my God. Wow. You know, I was, and that was, but you had to understand, there was such respect for genre already in Europe. They already respected it because they were starving for it. I mean, let me tell you, some of you are metalheads, right? Some of you love, all right? You should see, in Italy, metal is elevated to such a prestige level. Nobody would ever make fun of it. We say metalhead now and it means a couple of things. You know, we know you're a fan of that genre, blah, 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 heavy metal, you know, rock and roll. All that. In Europe, there's no judgment. It's always part of it, like the cowboy movie, like the horror movie, like the science fiction, like the romantic comedy. There's no judgment. They love it. They respect it. And I was part of that with science fiction and horror. I got into it was like just this great moment of time. So that was sort of my 80s revelation, that moment of time. The other corresponding revelation, I think Dave knows about this. I'm not sure the name of this convention, but I did a science fiction convention in New York at the old Roosevelt Hotel on 47th Street, in the Diamond District. I kept waiting for Laurence Olivier to go, is it safe? Is it safe? Marathon man, right? And it's raining and it's a crappy, shitty day. And I'm sitting there and Bob Shea, the head of New Line Cinema, comes in to take me out to lunch, and I'm signing autographs with William Shatner. It's me and William Shatner. And I'm not that impressed by William Shatner yet, because he hasn't done 20 Star Trek movies yet, and Star Trek's a little bit in the valley at this moment of time. But I love Bill Shatner from other things. And so I'm talking to Bill Shatner about his Rashomon film that he did with Paul Newman and Claire Bloom, who married Philip Roth, and Rod Steiger, this extraordinary English actress who was Ophelia to Laurence Olivier's Hamlet. And I'm there, and I'm telling him all this, and he likes me, and we're signing autographs. And Bob Shea comes in and he goes, man, look at this Freddy Krueger. This Freddy Krueger's gone through the roof. And I go, what? And he goes, oh, this Freddy Krueger, man. We're into the money now, man. I said, Bob, these are my V fans. I'm here for a science fiction convention. All these kids want to know about the plots of the new V episodes. And Bob goes, no. They're here for, and I go, no, Bob. And I'm arguing, and I look out the window of the lobby of the Roosevelt Hotel on 47th and Madison in New York, Manhattan. You guys could all take a car up there right now. It's so close. And in the rain is a line, as far as I can see, of Ramones, punk rock, heavy metal fans in wet black leather, and girls with mohawks pierced and dog collars on, and they all want Freddie's autograph. One print in New York and New Jersey being driven around to different theaters. And that's when I knew. That was the other 80s moment, along with the one in Milan, Italy, when I knew, hey, I'm onto something here. Yeah.
I noticed on a lot of your autographs you draw your caricature. What inspired you to start drawing a caricature version of yourself?
Oh, this is nothing, you guys. He's talking about the little cartoon I draw. The real reason I draw it a lot, you guys, is because I'm old. I have arthritis. And it exercises my hand after I've written, you know, after I've written to Brittany, eat shit, love Freddie. You know? Guys, I need, you know, and so I draw, I mean, you know, I'm not going to try to be a saint up here or anything like that. No, but where that happened was I was on a jury in Brussels. Just a great festival, you guys. And when I was young, Dave will remember this too, you could get great flights out of Newark and out of Buffalo to Dublin and to Brussels, because Brussels is the capital of Europe, the new Europe, the Euro and all that bullshit. So you know, when you're a young student, you would go there a lot. So I'm doing the Brussels Film Festival, and Nancy and I are there for the second or third time, and now I'm Mr. big dick on the jury, right? Me and Christopher Lee. No, it's me and Christopher Lee, the director of The Ring. Oh no, it's a big deal. And like you're up at 9 in the morning with French coffee, which is good. And you watch movies with me and John Landis and Christopher Lee are watching Japanese horror before you guys ever heard about it. We're watching The Ring, .000, you know, and we're watching Japanese Catholic schoolgirls, you know, rape a dog. Oh, unbelievable stuff. Yeah. Like the opening of The Thing, you know. Oh my God, how do they do that? Is that animatronic or what is that, a practical effect? Anyway, so we're sitting there and Christopher Lee's going, I don't know if I approve of this. Back in the Hammer days, it was, so, and we're going, no, Chris, you're like, no, this is good. I've never seen anything like this. Then we would go out for this great lunch, this phenomenal lunch, you guys. I mean, awesome lunch. You know, the Belgians have to work harder. They have to try harder because they're not Parisians. So the food is incredible. So I'm out to lunch with like the guys that directed the early Bond films and Christopher Lee and everything. But in Brussels, who is their patron saint? Not Walt Disney, the guy that draws Tintin. Tonton, as we say if we're snobs. You guys saw the Spielberg movie. All the advertising in Belgium is in that cartoon style, that kind of simplistic Tintin cartoon style. So I started doing the Freddy Doodle for those fans in Belgium, and they loved it. They went apeshit over it. So I continue to do it and to exercise my arthritic wrist after I've signed Brittany and Heather 25 times. Next question. Back here. It's you.
Is there any chance that yourself, because amazing Freddy Krueger, yourself and Johnny Depp would ever make a new Freddy movie together?
No, look, nobody in this room would rather work with Johnny again than this cowboy. I mean, Johnny is gold. That's like rubbing up against platinum, you guys. You know, Lone Ranger notwithstanding. Come on. But no, I mean, you guys know, it's not like I don't know Johnny. I don't hang with Johnny. You know, Johnny was this beautiful baby-faced Elvis when I worked with him, and he was very rockabilly. And I've told this story a million times. It's in my book, but the moment I remember with Johnny was he said, yeah, he goes, Robert, sir, like I decided to move out here to Hollywood because I was living in Miami and it was March and I still left my Christmas tree up. I said, that was probably a good move, Johnny. And then cut to years and years later, after Nightmare on Elm Street, somewhere in the late 90s, I was killing time in a really cool Irish bar in the Coronet Theater Pub on La Cienega in West Hollywood. And I had just done some big commercial interviews across the street, and it was like 4:45, and there was no way I was going to get on the freeway at 15 minutes to 5 in LA. That's like the rest of your life, you know. So you either get drunk, you go to a movie, or you get a motel room. So I got drunk, and I'm alone at the bar, and there's like some girls rehearsing, really beautiful actresses. And I look over in the corner, and it's Johnny Depp and someone like Eddie Vedder. Not Eddie Vedder, but someone like that. And Johnny's there, you know, with his cigarette, and he's very brief, and he comes up and goes, Robert, I haven't seen you for a while. I go, Johnny, man. And he's upset. Now, I had just been to Europe for a publicity tour for another film. Not a nightmare film either, something else. And Johnny had a huge hit over there. He was on buses and billboards, but he didn't know that. He just knew that the movie didn't do well in America. I can't remember what movie it was, but it didn't do well here. But it did great overseas. Dead Man, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, something like that. And I said, Johnny, you know, I said, why don't you, just jump on a plane, go over there. I said, it's like huge over there right now. All your interviews are on the cover of all the French newspapers and the Italian newspapers, and you're on billboards, and you're on double-decker buses. And so I don't know if he did, but the next thing I heard was he'd fallen in love and he'd moved to France, you know. And I think that was a good thing for him. I think that he needed to do that. But that's the last time I've ever run into Johnny, and I'm not taking, you know, credit for that. But it's that weird thing where you think we know everything, you know, this whole TMZ media thing. We don't know everything that's going on. I come to these conventions today, yesterday. I've seen at least a dozen things I've never seen before in my life. Today I saw a German press kit. I saw a phenomenal Spanish poster today that I've never seen before. And I love seeing that stuff. I don't get to see that. You know, it's just really cool stuff. Plus all the new art that the dealers come up with. Plus some of the stuff you guys do when those of you that really know how to Photoshop, you know, some stuff. I've seen some great stuff. Or Alamo, you know, posters and things like that that I haven't seen. So that's really fun for me. But to answer your question, no, I don't think it's going to be, you know, Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, Johnny Depp, and Robert Englund in The Road to Elm Street. Next question. Oh, somebody far away. Over here, this beautiful girl here with her arm up. You see, I see you. Hey, I see you, my little Freddyette. Shout. Okay, I'm so proud of that movie. Thank you for mentioning it. I mentioned it earlier. You guys, Nathan Basil, how good is Nathan Basil in Behind the Mask? I saw Nathan Basil play a Kurt Cobain groupie in a play at one of the best theaters in America. This guy is dangerous. I heard about him years ago from my agent and from people that saw him at Juilliard, you know. But Nathan's like dangerous. He's like two ways. There was a show, this is how sad it is for actors. Do you guys remember the show, maybe 5.5 years ago, Invasion? Yes. Nathan Basil as the one-armed deputy sheriff redneck alien, half man, with Bill Fichtner. This could have been a great show. I mean, how are our Invasion and Heroes and Lost gone? Yeah. And we have Kim Kardashian! How does this happen in America? I can't believe it. You know? Anyway, so no. Here's the thing about Behind the Mask. You guys, the sequel script is extraordinary. They're making a movie about the mythology of, you know, of Behind the Mask, of Leslie Vernon. They're making a movie. And it's like a Hollywood horror movie, and we're all on location making this movie, and what happens is they call me, and they call the girl from the original, and they bring in her assistants, the sound man that she had and her cameraman, and they use us as technical advisors on the new Leslie Vernon Anchor Bay movie. And guess who else starts hanging out?